Hey everybody, this is going to be a little bit different of a video from what I normally do on the channel, mostly because I just wanted to take some time to explain why there haven't been a lot of videos here lately and kind of what my plans for the near and not so near future are regarding this channel and kind of what my intentions are. Um, for those of you who have been watching my Twitch streams that I've been doing over the past week, you may recognize this as Poker Night 2, and this is actually the intense and exciting conclusion of my quest for the We Are the 1% achievement, which was the one achievement I was missing from that game. I actually did 3 or 4 Twitch streams within the past week trying to get this achievement live on stream, and actually ended up deciding to instead work on it in bits and pieces over the past few days off stream and kind of wait till I was ready to go in for the kill, so to speak, and actually pop the achievement. And just so happened that at the time I felt like I was in a good position to do that. I really wasn't in a good sort of frame of mind or position to do it live on stream, so I figured I would just kind of shadow play it and then show it here on the YouTube channel. Hopefully those of you who are following me on Twitch are also following me on Twitter, so you'll get to see this through that. But that kind of brings me to the gist of what I wanted to talk about here today. And I guess we could kind of call this a bit of a vlog. I really don't typically do these kind of videos, so sorry if this is a little rough. But basically what I wanted to do is touch on a few different things that are happening right now. One of which being the fact that I have actually started a new game development studio at the beginning of this year, and the first major announcement from that studio is actually going to be happening here within the next few days. Now, those of you who've been following me online for a while, who've been reading my blog or following me on Twitter or here or on Twitch, know that I actually released an iOS game a few years back called Power Grids, and that game did reasonably well considering that it was an independent game done in just a handful of months with an extremely limited budget and extremely limited marketing experience on my part, at least within the video game industry. We got some decent, shout outs on some podcasts and a few articles written about it, a couple of reviews written, got some nice reviews on the iOS store. But in general, the game didn't light the world on fire. I know a lot of people have played it, as indicated by things like the Game Center leaderboards and things of that nature. But it never really took off the way that I was kind of hoping that it would. And I think I can attribute that to a lot of different factors, not the least of which being that it was my first attempt at doing something like that. And really, ever since I released that game, and ever since I, was actively promoting it and trying to, get people's attention with it, I've really wanted to get back to doing that sort of thing. I've worked a couple of jobs in the meantime, and really the bottom line for it, for me, has been, especially in the past couple of years, that I haven't done anything as satisfying professionally as releasing that game was for me. And so what I've really been working toward over the past year in particular has been getting back to a point where I can actually devote myself full time and in a more serious and sincere way than I did with Power Grids to game development, and actually taking that next step and kind of going from full on independent, kind of first time out there sort of amateur excursion that I had the first time, and into something a little more serious and a little more planned out and a little more real than what I did the first time. And that's involved a lot of planning and a lot of preparation and a lot of boring money related stuff that I won't go into here. But suffices to say that I've kind of stepped up my game, right? Like I've spent more time over the past year planning what I'm currently in the process of doing than I spent on the entirety of my efforts with Power Grids, from beginning to end. And I'm hoping that that's going to pay off, and I'm hoping that people will get excited about what I'm doing with this new game, because it really is, in my view, a big step forward from the previous one in a lot of different ways. Not the least of which being that it's just, I think, a game that's going to have more broad appeal and that people will be easier to get excited about, especially when they see some of the stuff that we're going to be showing regarding the game at GDC in a few weeks. So, spoiler alert, yes, this game will be at GDC. We're actually going to be in GDC Play with a bunch of other independent developers showing off interactive prototype of the game. So I don't want to get too deep into exactly what we're going to be doing there, at least not in this video, because I feel like there's a better time and place to delve into that. But why I bring all of this stuff up is it directly relates to what I've been doing here on YouTube. For the past year or so, I've been trying to, at least on a somewhat regular basis, put out YouTube videos, whether those were based on Twitch streams that I had done and taken highlights from, or videos that I had actually spent some time working on and recording offline, and putting more production into. I've just really been trying to stay sharp, or at least reasonably sharp, when it comes to video work, just so that I don't completely lose my practice or my ability when it comes to things like editing and narration and commentary and things of that nature. And so that's definitely something that I want to continue to do, even though I have been and am going to continue to be devoting a lot of my time to this game development project, especially over this next upcoming year. That doesn't necessarily mean that I want to completely abandon what I'm doing here on YouTube. What it does mean, though, is that it's probably the nature of what I'm doing on this channel is probably going to change a bit. It's going to probably be at least a little bit less about just general advocacy and kind of highlighting games that I think are cool and trying to put out content on a regular basis, and more about just picking something that I think is fun or engaging or interesting or ideally entertaining about a particular game and highlighting that. And that's in some ways what I'm kind of trying to do here with this Poker Night video, is like, I picked an achievement, happened to be the one achievement in this game that I didn't have yet, and I said, let's do a series of streams and then maybe a video on the YouTube channel kind of chronicling me going after that achievement, and maybe throwing some extra random commentary in there here and there whenever it's appropriate. And I think that's kind of the mode that I want to operate in moving forward, at least for the foreseeable future with the channel. I spent a lot of time over the past year, especially, like, picking games that I thought were really cool and maybe were underappreciated or weren't getting a lot of attention, and trying to feature those. And I'm not going to say that I'm never going to do that again, or that that's not ever going to happen on the channel again. But the thing is, doing that stuff well takes a certain amount of effort and a certain amount of work, and it's a lot like what I said before about my blog. That there's a certain level of effort I want to put into stuff like that to do it properly and do it justice. And I'm a bit concerned that with all the other stuff I have going on, working on my own game and all of the very real business and work-related responsibilities associated with that trying to divide my time, as much as I enjoy giving shout-outs to other games and other developers, it's just not necessarily the best use of my time. But I kind of feel like maybe this formula, this whole idea of like picking a little aspect of a game and focusing on that for a short video here or there, makes sense, and it allows me to continue to create content and continue to do stuff to share with you guys, and also continue to have a venue to use to broach other topics, right? because one thing is when I'm kind of trying to advocate for a particular game, I tend to want to focus on that aspect of things completely, and that doesn't allow me to talk about other things that I might have on my mind or I think might be interesting at the time. And I think with doing something a little more lighthearted and a little less focused and a little more just seat of the pants, it's going to allow me to branch out into some different conversational topics and cover some different things in addition to the game that I'm actually playing in the video. So we're going to give this a shot and see how it works out. I've never been one to fully commit to a concept for the channel to the point where I will exclude any other concepts or ideas. And certainly if it turns out that these videos aren't popular or they don't have any sort of, following, then chances are I probably won't do a ton of them, but I at least want to give it a shot and try something new and try to do something that I think fits well with what I've got going on and allows me to continue to have this sort of creative outlet and continue to interact with you guys on this level, even while I am very much focused and concentrating on working on my new game. So I guess what I would say kind of in conclusion as far as that stuff goes is just keep an eye on the things here. Keep an eye on the channel. If you follow me on Twitter, please continue to follow me because, as I've said many times in the past, that really is the best way to keep track of what I'm doing, regardless of what the medium is. If I write a blog post, if I make a YouTube video, if I live stream something, if I announce something about my game, anything that I'm doing that's relevant to people who might be interested in it goes on the Twitter. So, by all means, use that as your kind of one-stop shop for anything that's happening with regard to content that I'm creating, because that really is the one place where everything gets referenced on Twitter. So having said all of that, I am very happy that I have finally nailed this achievement in this game, and it's something that I've been working on for quite some time off and on. This game is an extremely cruel mistress. I mean, even more so than poker as a game is in general. I feel like there's some voodoo in the code of this game that really makes it extremely difficult to win multiple tournaments or multiple tournaments in a row. It has a really nasty habit of just suckering you in to these really enticing situations where it seems like statistically you should have an excellent chance of winning hands, and then the computer just draws something on the river or has something that just seems so improbable to beat you down with. And I've definitely fallen victim to it. Things that I've said before about this game I think still hold true, which is that you have to be patient when you're playing it. You can't go in for the quick kill. You have to really bide your time and wait for the ideal opportunity and not get sucked into a lot of the outrageous betting that takes place, especially early on in the tournaments. It's really to your advantage to sit back and wait for some of the other AIs to knock each other out, but still take opportunities to pull your own chips up as much as you can, because what you really want to do, and what I find more often than not leads to success in this game, is to just kind of hang back, try to take a few hands while people are being eliminated and just keep your chip reserves as high as possible, and then really try to play for the chip advantage when you get down to the last one or two opponents. Because if you can come into the kind of final showdown with the last AI with any sort of chip advantage, you can almost always turn that into a victory, as long as you're, again, cautious about what you're doing and don't let yourself get sucked in or hurried in your approach. But the other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about while we're kind of wrapping up this tournament is I'm really going and searching for this achievement has of course made me play this game, which I haven't touched in a while, and it's really made me realize how much I'm looking forward to them doing another one of these. I've played through the first Poker Night. I don't know that I necessarily got all the achievements in that one, but I definitely played the hell out of Poker Night 2. I think I have something like 54 hours total in it now. And granted, the last 10 or 12 of those was probably just going after this one last achievement that I needed. But at the same time, like, it is a particularly entertaining and engaging game. I mean, it has some issues. There's a lot of repeated dialogue that you'll hear, especially if you play a lot of it kind of in a row. You'll hear a lot of the same stories and banter getting tossed around between the characters. But then by the same token, even playing today to finish up this achievement, I heard some new dialogue that I had never heard before. So it just goes to show that there actually is a lot in the game. It just kind of tends to get buried sometimes by some of the repetitious stuff that happens, uh, more frequently than it probably should. But, even with all the complaints that I might have against the game, I still think overall it's really fun and definitely worth the $5 that they ask for it. But I would absolutely love to see, more options in terms of the players that you play against in future games. The ability to play multiplayer, even if it means removing AIs from the table to make room for friends to play with, and being able to like play with your friends and the AIs at the same time, I think could be super fun. And that's something I would definitely like to see in a future Poker Night game. I think it would be really cool if they'd bring back some of the characters from the first two games and maybe add new ones in and let you kind of mix and match, or maybe like had a pool of characters like fighting game style that you could pick from like a grid, and then you like pick the four you're going to go against. And granted, like, a lot of those things would make this a bigger, more complex game and would require a lot more development effort, which might in turn raise the price of the game. But I would be totally cool with that. Having bought two of these games already, for $5 or $10 a piece or whatever they were when they came out, to get a more advanced, more robust version of this with some more features and some more uh, options basically for gameplay, I would gladly pay 15, $20, maybe even as high as 30, depending on how feature rich it was for something like that. So I'm definitely going to be real curious to see where they take this series from here, because I feel like it's got legs and I've definitely could see myself playing more of it. But I'm also kind of hoping that they don't just do more of the same in a potential third game. I'd really like to see them kind of take it to the next level. Um, but having said all of that, as I said before, I am extremely happy to have gotten this achievement taken care of, because it was getting to a point where it was starting to take a bit more time than I had been hoping that it would, and it was cool to just kind of be able to knock it out and kind of put this game to bed in a lot of ways. I'm sure there are some little like voiceovers and stories and banter and stuff that I've yet to hear. There's probably some little like rare phrases and stuff that just don't come up that frequently that I may not have caught by now. But for the most part, I feel like I've really kind of gotten most of what there is in this game out of it. And I feel pretty content now, having gotten all of the achievements, to kind of put this one to bed and wait for the arrival of the inevitable sequel. And that's totally cool as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, I feel like I absolutely got my money's worth out of this game, and then some probably, and definitely have enjoyed the time that I've spent playing it. So I don't think you can ask for too much more out of a game, to be honest. Although, having just heaped all that praise on it, I will reiterate the fact that sometimes this game is super cheap when it comes to how hands can play out. And you might argue that that's just poker, and I couldn't necessarily dispute that. But there are moments that occur in this game that just seem so statistically improbable that it really makes you think, man, I wonder if they stack the deck sometimes, just to artificially elongate the game, or to keep you coming back for more or whatever. And I guess that's one of those things that unless you actually, cornered a developer and gave him some pentothal or something. You probably never know for sure, but it definitely seems crazy sometimes, the scenarios that occur in this game. But just happy to have kind of put it to bed and been able to do that both on stream, or at least the process of it on stream, and now finishing it up here in this YouTube video. So I think that's going to take us pretty much to the end of things. Yeah, I think Sam's going all in here for the last time. This is where I think I finally put the bumps on him. So having said all of this stuff, please, as always, let me know in the comments or with your likes or your subs or whatever, whether or not this is something that you guys are finding interesting. I will definitely try to polish and refine this stuff as I go moving forward, to make sure that it's as entertaining and interesting as possible. Again, like I said at the beginning, I kind of expect this video to be a little rough because it's my first time doing one like this. So apologies if the quality isn't quite up to snuff. I'm definitely going to be working to improve that. But yeah. Oh, maybe this isn't where I knock him out. See, I forgot how long this showdown actually went, but that's what happens sometimes. You get into these prolonged battles, basically these one-on-one battles where there's a lot of ebb and flow. I know at one point here, I was actually in danger of losing my chip advantage, and I actually had to bounce back and kind of get him back into a vulnerable position again. And I think that's what we just saw. I think that one time he went all in there, I actually lost that. Yeah, okay, so here's where I think I actually knock him out for real this time, and not for play. But again, as I said before, let me know what you guys think of this, if you want to see more of this sort of thing, and I'll be happy to oblige once I know what you guys are thinking about this sort of thing. And even if you don't respond, I'm probably still going to make some more videos like this, at least until I decide whether or not it makes sense for me. So look forward to that. And I guess until next time.
That's all? I thought there'd be a swimsuit competition.